I agree, echo align with majority participants on this call with respect to a multi-dimensional view at poverty elevation, getting more innovative, holistic, and having complex approaches, but delivered with simplicity, patience, acumen, hardiness, foresight, and diligence as well. I think a lot of people alluded to that. Through an approach that is by, for, with, and through rural, and that is very typical Barefoot College. We we are believers of creating pathways that build more sustainable, self-resilient, self-sufficient communities, leveraging, valuing, respecting their existing knowledge and wisdom. That is very crucial to our approach. We do not just want to have an outlook which says, okay, this is a certain part of the work that will be done by the government. It is supposed to be a co-creative space. You have to be an extension of any, lacking infrastructure, resource, support, anything that is there in the rural. We have to be there and be addressing it in the long run with foresight. Since inception, it has been very women-centered. We are true believers that you place a woman at the center of development philosophy, you have an intergenerational change in outcomes. Whenever you're designing, any intervention, the approach has to be participatory. So we'll go to the village for any intervention, be it solar, be it water, be it honey, be it coffee, be it any other value chain that we are working on. Some of them may have an enterprise or market-based element, but some of them not. Since we're talking specifically to the enterprise and livelihood side of it, yes, we keep it market-based. It is good to have in the long run, as well as in the short run, some amount of investment of your own into the value chain, because it keeps your teams also diligent. Sometimes if it is all donor-based, it may turn into, implosive factors. So yeah, that's how we keep it. We keep it very hybrid. So there is a grant-based intervention model along with an earned income-based, sales model for it, which is either sometimes done directly by the women beneficiaries, or they are part of the upstream manufacturing processes, while we take care in the short run of getting their produce to the market, while in the long run, institutionalizing them into an entity and then building their capacity to then fly. Just like the way right now we've just been working on the coffee value chain in Andhra in a similar format. We've reached that level of maturity. All value chains have a different growth phase in their ventures right now, or their evolution. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, I'm not going to get into output levels and numbers. I think it was the first call, so I thought, okay, let's just cover, the philosophy, the approach, the models, what are the type of value chains that you're looking at, and what is the basic idea of change that is gone through by the beneficiary. So it's simple, you build confidence, we impart skills, you induce agency through, you will cover that later, but we'll enable ecosystem right from the point of facilitating. We will not provide finance, but we will facilitate low-cost finance. We will look at provisioning of tools and equipments. You will look at an assured buyback. You will look at 100% advance payment for sometimes some of the raw producers, as well as a good amount of payback period for any inventory that a person keeps for selling in the future. The whole idea is to drive their confidence with a good support ecosystem. That confidence is going to result in them pushing for it. It grows aspirations. You are able to increase their income, at the same time drive revenues for the long-term financial sustainability of the value chain itself. We'll today just cover Bindi Solar, Vritti sanitary pads, Super 5 nutrition. There are two others. We have Hateli, which is an artisan collective. We also have Kabar Se Jugaad, which is an upcycling. And the third one, and one more that we are missing out on, is ethical apiculture. Just that we have less time, and so I want to just run you through this. Next slide, please. Majority of this entire approach, model, philosophy eventually came to development of an umbrella initiative, which is called the Women Prosper Initiative, where you're looking at the rural woman in a more holistic manner as a key lever for elevation of multidimensional poverty, intergenerational upliftment of rural communities. With good amount of sustained handholding, you are also, and your own presence through your ground partners, you are redefining general roles to, catalyze community-owned change. Yeah, we've already covered the ecosystem part. The whole idea is for her to be self-resilient through improved socioeconomic security from whatever micro enterprise that she chooses to pursue. Earlier, she may just be a seller to us, but the whole idea is later on for her to be either running her own or to be part of a community-run micro enterprise. It is a a three-layered approach. A woman starts with an Enrich 101 training, which is covering 7 modules, basics from using of a mobile smartphone or an iPad or a computer. You have financial inclusion in the sense of the awareness side of it, teaching them life skills, arithmetic, budgeting. You have women's wellness with respect to their understanding of their body, their health, their aspirations, their own emotions. There is environmental stewardship where she's looking at basic things like, say, a smokeless chulha. If she's come all the way to Barefoot College for a 3-month training or a 6-month training, or is working with Barefoot College at a decentralized training level, she can be taught these small things which actually improve her life. She's as it is facilitating the entire family to earn money while carrying their entire burden through this lopsided distribution of work. So yeah, they would get to know about the rights and responsibilities. Once this awareness comes in, it simply comes towards them having more awareness and agency for their own self, but also being empathetic to other women in the communities and other families. So then they go and share their ideas, their wisdom once they go back to their communities, the new skills that they have learned. It automatically reduces at a strategy level, our cost of getting more beneficiaries on board for our scale. And you already have a master trainer in place. You can go for scale. Scale is great, but soon it gets implosive if it is not standing on strong cornerstones. So a lot more needs to be done to enhance depth of impact, and that is why we have really high touch value chains, to then take it forward from there for the bottom of the socio-economic hierarchy, if I can call it so. So yeah, then they have a multiple set of technical skills and competencies to learn, be it sanitary, nutritional, skilling and venture creation, coffee, beekeeping, solar products. Eventually, then the whole ecosystem side of it. I think I've covered already majority parts of it, from access to finance to any kind of continued operation support. Next, please. So Barefoot Enrich, I think I've covered the basics of it, but now we are going to the next stage where we are trying to digitize the entire Enrich co-curriculum. It started with simply working with solar mamas who would come for 6 months from varied countries, who would be taught through sign languages, kinesthetic learning, more visual-based referencing for future, and a small reference guide that is pictorial in nature. Because please understand, I have not covered it earlier, but now putting it forth, that majority of the beneficiaries of Barefoot College are women who do not know how to read and write, or what you call as unformally educated, because they may be illiterate in modern sense, but I think time smarter than a dumb dude like me coming out of some B school and sustainability studies. So this is where we are now, looking at the bigger scale of this entire curriculum. This also helps us later on to keep disseminating a lot of other bundled information to them, just like right now in COVID, because women do go back with smartphones or computers or pads after the electrification projects. They become these relay of information, and continued learning happens through that. Next slide, please. Solar is one of our oldest value chains. We have come to a scale where we have done solar electrifications as part of South-South regional cooperation, as well as for the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy within the country. We are right now we've done electrification projects in 78, or I think last I remember 92 countries, and we are working through Ground Plaza. All of this is decentralized, so we don't own the entire value chain. You find organizations that are committed to the rural people, are working at the last of the last mile. You're looking at a community that has multidimensional poverty, very low reach of government services, at the same time a good set of latent skills and competencies that they have that we can harness and give them something that will improve their productivity, give them aspirations. So this will be the first I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, but this was an electrification project where one woman was electrifying 120 households. I won't go into that. You can go on the website. You'll get a lot of understanding on that. You can have videos as well. There's a lot of news articles on that. But this is one of the first things where we are looking at built, sold, serviced by women in rural areas. So a woman who is informally educated can now assemble, fabricate certain parts, identify faults, repair it, help maintain it, service it, and sell it further. So you are helping a huge set of people to now finally have access to energy. Case studies, a lot of output side of it. Yes, I'm sure you'll get it on the website. Next slide, please. When you look at Barefoot Solar Enterprises, I just wanted to let you know what are the key components of the value chain and what are the key levers that we have. So it's simple, it's hands-on applied technical training through master trainers who themselves are informally educated but have been doing this for a long time with multilingual, multi-background, multicultural people. So need not use language, it's action-based. It's how do you move your hands and the person observes. It's magic that I cannot express in tangible words. One has to experience it. I invite all of you sometime to come down to Barefoot College in Telonia. Whenever the weather is better, not in summers, please. Then there is awareness on life skills through this entire enriched part of things. Then there is continued learning, operations and supply chain support, because in the short run, you also have some part invested into the value chain to drive some amount of revenue to meet these costs that you have, to be bundled along with whatever, philanthropy or donations or CSR can get in. It is important to set up value chains that provide an exit strategy to any helper or supporter as well. So that is how we've kept this in mind. So you also have, along with rural people, modern, educated youth, from across the country, from across different backgrounds, working alongside with them, enjoying with them, going through their thick and thin. And so key levers for us, as I said, we have master trainers. There are a ton of solar electrified villages that we are already in. There is a spread of rural electronic workshops wherever we've done solar electrification. They can just be revamped to then be serving as demo centers and selling centers and repair centers and stocking centers. We have a decent spread of ground partners and field centers, both in country as well as outside, to then have a bigger pivot where we can even invest into their own resources. We have to realize that decentralization gives you a great scale, but one has to invest in the capacity of the other institutions that you partner with. So we have associate family of civil society organizations and NGOs harbored under Sampada Network, and they are our turnkey collaborators. They are our, sometimes co-project owners, sometimes majority time insight on how the local governance or how the local community dependencies exist as, what are the things needed, what are things that are eating more of their time to not be focusing on a certain value chain. All of this side, there's a lot of intel feedback loop that comes in. So yes, finally it is co-created with inputs from rural users. There was a mela done where we took inputs on how do they want to use their solar products, clean energy, how do they see light, what do they see themselves using it as, or with whom. There's a ton of these detailed focus group like rural sabhas we did, and then we also had a mela alongside. So next slide please.
Nishit, could you quickly conclude in about 10 to 15 seconds?
10 to 15 seconds. All right. So we then have Superfine Nutrition. This is an age-old recipe. We've just revived the recipe. We've gotten it into a more consistent format that is, standardized when it comes to batches. It is right now going in two models. One is a free. Can you please change the slide? Two models where you have a free distribution model as well as a free distribution model is through CSR grant, or say right now, if we did one thing for Coca-Cola, but this is, free distribution every day for an entire academic year, 25 to 50 grams per child for 1,300 children across 40 schools, with tech-based quarterly enabled monitoring with safe, portable, easy to use, non-pervasive body vital aggregation technologies, be it hemoglobin levels, and then you obviously have your arm circumference, weight, height, and all of that, and then tracking it. So this is where we are working with that. We're developing a women's village level entrepreneurs network, which is selling this, providing good information on family health and nutrition. At the same time, is being converted into a last mile access for affordable diagnostics through this research of technology that we were conducting as part of the school program. So this is where it also lies. How do you design your programs? What cross-functional leverages you bring? How do you spill over one important innovation that comes in through another funding stream, move into a different one for a betterment of the entire community, as well as the financial sustainability of the value chain? So yeah, next slide, please.
Nishit, we need you to quickly quickly summarize, because we need to move on to the next speaker.
And then last is sanitary pads. Again, we have a small production unit where we produce both reusable cloth pads and use and throw one-time use biodegradable pads. Alongside is dissemination of good menstrual hygiene and a VLE model that comes along with it. Both in Super 5 and Vriti, we look at bulk sales to institutions for integration into their value chain, so that then we can subsidize the cost that is incurred by the rural consumer. With that, I'm done. I'm very sorry, Bhagyashree. I'm very sorry, everybody, if I've taken more than the time needed, and if I have not got in depth, but just that 5 minutes, I thought, let me just have a trade-off of giving you an approach and model side. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for sharing all these different practices.
Sorry for speaking so fast. Very sorry on that front as well. But मेरी कोशिश थी कि मैं बस probably just.
Okay. So moving on, our next presentation is by Mr. Sandeep Jadhav, who is from BIAF.
Hello. Good evening, Bhagyashree. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
And the screen is visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. As the last presenter for the day, I assure you that I will complete my presentation within the prescribed time limit. I want to thank Bhagyashree and the entire CSR Box team to bring the different peoples from different walks of life of the development sector on the same platform on a single session. I'm Sandeep Yadav, and I'm going to represent BIAF Development Research Foundation today. As you all know, that BIAF is known more for its contribution towards the farm-based livelihood initiatives, whether it is in the field of livestock development, tree-based development models, natural resource management, and others. But within those broad theme of farm-based livelihood models, BIAF has always put a lot of its effort in developing various non-farm based initiatives as well, and most of them have been women-centric. Initially, it came as an offshoot of a farm-based livelihood initiatives, but later on it developed as a non-farm initiatives, and then it takes its own course. So I will just give you a glimpse of some of the initiatives which BIAF has successfully done in the field in the past 5 decades. So when I begin, I will just want to throw a light on the approach which BIAF has adopted since last 5 decades. The center of our planning and our efforts has always been a rural family, and as the rural family consists of people from different age groups, BIAF has always tried to bring development initiatives which caters to the needs of all the people in the household. So women being an important part of those initiatives, we have always strived to incorporate them in our development initiatives. Few of the challenges which women face, which are unique to them and not to the general population of the rural society, are major responsibility of agriculture and the overall rural economy is managed by women. They face higher degree of marginalization of a different level. They face multiple layers of deprivations beyond being a woman, and at the same time they face limited options for livelihood and income generating opportunities, and also some skill developments and capacity building exercises. over and above this, they face various constraints in having their own say in the various levels of development initiatives, whether being a Gram Sabha government side of initiatives or development initiatives from non-profit sectors. So one of the first initiatives which I will cover is Nahari. Nahari is a word for afternoon food in the tribal language of South Gujarat. Nahari initiative started some 13-14 years back in Navsari district. At present, we have some 12 units of Nahari. Each unit is owned and managed by one self-help group of 2 or 3 villages. The role responsibilities are divided between various members of these SHG groups, and they accordingly provide their own contribution. And at present, this initiative has spread over all the 3 or 4 districts of South Gujarat region, and is very liked by tourists who are coming to tourist spots in South Gujarat regions. The important thing in this initiative is the promotion of local food, ragi-based local food, which is a tribal cuisine indigenous to the Dangi tribe. So this has turned out to be a very successful initiative, and it's going now beyond its own planning. Initially, we had some physical outlets. Now it has even moved to the mobile units, which is catering to village heart in different villages at a different time. The second initiative is IRESA Prom initiative. IRESA is a biogas unit with some additional features. It's a biogas unit with slurry slurry filtration process, which converts into organic manure, which is a phosphate-rich organic manure produced locally. So it is an end-to-end chain. Output is taken from livestock, and then it is processed, and finally the processed product is once again used in the agriculture. So it brings a smaller agriculture cycle. Another initiative is e-Dost Digital Sakhi, where absence of banking and digital services is observed in rural area. We have started promoting e-Dost, which are women who are enabled with digital technologies to provide various services, and they have started doing a lot of transactions and providing various services to the rural areas that banking facilities are yet to reach. Another initiative is of mushroom cultivations, which require very less investment, and a very short cycle of 3 to 4 months provide a very high output. An average unit produces almost 65 to 75 kg, and one unit earns up to 10,000 to 50,000 units per cycle. So 2 cycle a year produces more to 30,000 per year for a beneficiary. Another initiative is of solar dryer unit. It is promoted in a district of Pune near Bios Research Center. This Sankalp initiative has started doing drying of vegetables, which is not able to directly sold the urban markets, and then the solar dried products are converted into marketable products with proper brandings and all the quality checks, and this has led to development of almost more than 32 solar dried products. This initiative has been promoted only in one location at present, but it is also ready to move beyond that area. Another initiative in the field of poultry enterprise in various programs of Bayer. So input to poultry sector, because most of the time poultry fails to continue its development course due to unavailability of inputs. So these units started providing inputs, a day-old chicks plus some input feed and other equipment for these poultry units, and they have promoted poultry on their own in various villages near their catchment area. Similarly, Bayer has also promoted various custom hiring centers which provides various modern equipments on hiring basis, on cost-based hiring charge, and various equipments have been promoted. Later on, women have been trained to operate tractors and to play a direct role in agriculture contribution. Similarly, one more initiative was of promoting handicrafts, bamboo-based handicrafts. So in South Gujarat, BIAF is promoting bamboo-based handicraft with around 250 artisans, and these artisans have started producing various products directly selling to the market of Dang and other South Gujarat area. But then later on, they started moving beyond the South Gujarat region, and with an support from SBI Fellow and their own initiatives of a brand named Basuli, this has moved to an urban areas of North India, being Jaipur, Delhi, Gandhinagar, Ahmedabad, and other areas as well. So this is a women jewelry related initiative. BIAF is also promoting various tussar based initiatives. From promoting tussar in the tribal areas of Gadchiroli and Madhya Pradesh, to managing tussars, then processing it, and leading to the final level of producing a women garment or various tussar-based garments. The entire end-to-end linkage has been promoted with more than 2,000 wearers. Similarly, various other NTFT-based initiatives have been promoted, looking at the special geographical context of tribal areas of Batul, Maharashtra, Gadchiroli, and Chhattisgarh region. So, lag cultivation has been promoted, inland fishery has been promoted, conservation of Indian magur has been taken up under those initiatives, and overall more than 2,000 participants has been covered in all those initiatives, valued at more than 42 lakhs a year.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but we have about 10-15 seconds to wrap up.
This is my last slide. Moving beyond, we will be happy to contribute and participate in various other application and upscaling of these initiatives which I have mentioned, and few more which we have already tried and tested in the field. So BIAF is very forward-looking to leverage the SHG social capital developed over last many decades. At the same time, they want to provide dignified livelihood opportunities to rural women in their own rural settings, and to promote their skills in their own localities.